Hello, everyone. It's Cassandra Williamson, and this is Midday with Cassandra. I hope you're having a good Monday. I know it's kind of tough for a lot of people on Monday trying to recover and get ready to go, but we need to be energized and kick it in gear because we've got a good fight we have to fight, right? A lot of things we need to be talking about. And let me see if I can pull up a couple of things well, I don't need them really. So I just sent out, and if you're not receiving this from me, if you're not receiving the emails from me, and you'd like to get on that list, go over to the website here and subscribe. That's Cassandra-LLC.com. Subscribe there so that you'll know what I'm thinking, and you can have input into it. Input in terms of you can comment on it if you'd like, and I just want everybody also to know that this is not a nonprofit organization. This is one that is for profit. And I do have one thing I'd like to offer if anybody wants to consider buying one of these. Let me get this up here really quickly, and I'll pull up some media. I want to show you what we have. Get an image up. And where is that? Let me scroll down. I actually do all of it, editing, and no, there's no editing. I just kind of put it out there. It just gets put out. But that's a sticker. That's kind of like a decal, actually, for a car or whatever. And it says, I served for all Americans. And that's exactly what we did. We have served for all Americans. And so that's hugely important to me. That's hugely important to me. It's not just that we serve for one particular group or for any particular reason other than for everyone in the country. And that does mean that there's a lot of people that you may not like, but we still serve for them too. And that's really what this country is all about. That is why we are who we are, right? Because we welcome everyone into the country. As a matter of fact, early on, the people we welcomed into the country, Hamilton actually was the one who kept pushing for people to come in from all over the world. The disaffected and the ones who were disenchanted with wherever they were living and had difficulties wherever they were welcome here because he knew, and many people and thinkers and leaders of the time also knew that if you bring people in who have reasons that they wish to leave from another country and they come here to the United States, then what they're going to do is they're going to come here and experience the facts that they can build their own lives, their own businesses, and it's all on their hands. And then they become kind of tied to the country. They become very thankful for the country that has allowed them to come in. And that is what brought so many people into this country from the late 1700s, 1790s, all the way through the Irish famine, where we saw a lot of people coming from Ireland, and because of the potato famine, they were coming into the city. They came to New York. They came to the country. They went west, and those people are the backbone of the country, as well as those who were here prior to that and those who came afterward. There are lots of people from all over the country. Right here where I'm at in eastern Kentucky, there are lots and lots and lots of people who in the early 1900s immigrated from their countries to the United States. They went through Ellis Island or someplace like that and moved into Appalachia, southern West Virginia, southern Virginia, southwestern Virginia, and this part of Kentucky in the Appalachian coalfield region along the Tug River in Pike County and Martin County and all these places. Right here in this area, a lot of people came in here in the early 1900s from Italy and Russia and Poland, and they settled here. They started businesses. They raised their families here. And they did well here. But that's what it is. I mean, they came here because there's a lot of work in the coal fields. So that's what they did. They came back here and actually lived their lives. It was hard work, but they had an opportunity to build their lives as they saw fit here. And we have welcomed people from all over the world into here. And so it's a big, big, big thing. So that's nothing new. We all know that, actually, right? So this little sticker I've got right here, this is a sticker or a decal. It's about 4x6, I think, in size. But let me see if I can get one. I'm going to show you. You're looking at it, obviously, but I've got the things here. And if you want one of these, as I said before, this is not a nonprofit. This is a for-profit Kentucky Limited Liability Corporation, okay? So I'm going to turn off the share and just go back to this. Now, this is what it looks like, okay? Right there. And those are $6 a piece, okay? The shipping's included on all of that as long as it's reasonable and it's in continental U.S. or Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, or territories, wherever our postal service goes within the United States and our territories. But this is $6 a piece. If you'd like one, please go ahead and just send it to me. Send an email to me at this address here, right there, admin at Cassandra-LLC.com. Go there, click on that, or send me an email. Let me know that you'd like one, and I'll send you a Venmo account or something like that for whatever you like, however you wish to pay for them. I have a limited number right now, but these are on file with the company that made them for me, and they can quickly create more. And it doesn't take them very long either. It's just a couple of days they can get these to me. It's pretty good. I mean, that's surprising. So anyway, that's out of the way. So today I want to talk a little bit about the toolkit that we need in order to fight the good fight today. The political environment is such that we know that things turn people off in a hurry. And we have to really be cognizant of that. We have to think about that and be aware of it because we don't want people to be turned off by who we are or what we're saying. And we have to cautiously approach these things and think carefully about the words we use to do these things, to say what we need to have to say, so that, and the reason why this is hugely important is if we spend all of our time using the highfalutin academic language, people get put off by that. They think we're talking down to them, and it's hugely horrible. I know that I have some experience with that too, and many in my family, my immediate family here, accuse me of that, because I guess because I'm educated a little bit, and they take that as an offense whenever I start using big word, not just big words. They know the big words too, that it's just they think that I'm talking down to them or arrogant about it all, and that I find I'm trying to figure out a way for that is not what comes across. But even for me, it's a challenge because all I've ever known is academia. All I've ever known is the halls of some college or university or some classroom somewhere. I've always been involved in it. Many times they're online and many times they were in person, but I've been to a lot of stuff over the years, over the decades and decades. And that kind of presence comes across as arrogance, and it comes across as offensive to a lot of people. And for that, I'm deeply, deeply, deeply sorry. I don't want that to be the case. And I'm for the life of me, I'm trying to figure out how not to come across that way. But this is not just recent for me either. I've heard this from a lot of people that I come across as being kind of professorial, like a professor in a classroom somewhere. And really what's going on in my head is like, God almighty, come on. Oh my gosh. It's like, what? And I don't want to come across that way. And like I said, I've heard it for years from my own family, from friends, from a lot of people that I come across as being arrogant or let's see, overly confident. Well, my, I'm confident in what I know, but also am confident that I don't know a lot. There's a lot I've got to learn, but what I know, I'm willing to adapt and change if I need to, and when I need to. But there has to be evidence for me to support changing a lot of my thinking on these things. And if there's no real evidence, no science behind it, that's what kind of turns a lot of people off too. Is that I'll throw out stuff like I just said, the word I just said. If there's no science behind it, the terminology behind it, then I'm not inclined to even get behind whatever's being said. And that is arrogant. I get that. So how do I talk about it in a way that people can understand? How do I talk about it in a way that doesn't cause offense? It's not my intent to harm anyone because of the things I know or how I present things. I don't know. I don't know. So we have to have a toolkit to kind of help us with this so that we can learn. Let me see. I'm going to drop some of this stuff off on the side and put up a comment over here. Okay, so a friend just told me I had a combination of higher learning in high school coupled with the rating of college level books from the library on USS Iwo Jima and just dealing with people in everyday life. Yeah, I get that, Jenny. I get that for sure. Absolutely. And that's me too. I mean, I picked up a lot of stuff in the military, but even prior to the military, I mean, I was in college and high school. And I've surrounded myself with that stuff all of my life, which makes it hard to communicate without leaning into that. It's hard. I don't know how best to talk to people in that way, to kind of tone that down. And I guess basically it boils down to this: listen more than talk, and stop interjecting. Stop putting out the stuff that we think we know so well to people who question the things we think we know so well. Let them have their say. That's a difficult part for us to do, for me to do. It's really hard to do because I think I'm right. But I also am not so arrogant to think that it can't be changed. But that change doesn't occur easily. It's difficult for me too. I get that. So there's a lot of stuff in that toolkit. If you didn't get the toolkit that I sent out, it was an email I sent out this morning. Go to that email address, send me an email right there, or go subscribe over here on the website right here, www.cassandra, that's CASSANDRA-LLC.com. This is a Kentucky limited liability corporation, and it's a for-profit business, okay, not a nonprofit. Because I'm kind of leery of nonprofits anymore these days, because I do know that the Trump administration has been talking about going after nonprofits that are receiving their licensure or their registration from the federal government as a 501c3 or 501c4. I know that they're planning on going after the big nonprofits for discrimination, because they're solely focused on certain things, certain populations, or certain ideas or concepts. And so they're looking at doing that. That is something we're probably going to hear about it pretty soon. But I'm going to give it 3 or 4 months or something. We're going to hear it. So I'm leery of the nonprofit stuff because I figure that they're going to start going after them. And if you're involved in a nonprofit organization, well, I know that some nonprofits are also newspapers, because a lot of newspapers these days have gone to a nonprofit organization status because they've been losing a lot of money. So they switched to nonprofit so they can, try to survive. But back to the point. The point is, we have to have a toolkit in order to address these things. We have to have a way of talking about it. So if you go to that email that I sent out, go there, open up the email I sent, and it will be entitled tools for our toolkit, tools to help you fight the good fight. Okay. If you wish to use them, I'm offering it as a way to help people be able to stand up to what's going on around us without also driving the middle of the country away from us. We are looking to find people who can, in the middle of the country, who understand the message we're trying to send. But the only way to do that is get away from a lot of the language that we have been using for decades, because it's an immediate turnoff. Now, look, Friday, I started talking about this. Friday at noon. That day, sometime around the same time that I started talking about it, Third Way, a nonprofit who is center left in the political spectrum, put out a list of words they said we shouldn't be using, and it happened to be the same stuff that I was talking about. And guess what happened? Fox News picked up on that day, that evening, on Friday evening. You started seeing it on the 5, on Laura Ingraham, on Jesse Waters later that night. You saw it all weekend. And this morning on Fox News, it was there too. They spent a whole segment talking about issues like that. And last night too. I mean, it was just everywhere. But why were they talking about it? They were talking about it because they think that if they can make so much fun of this, the fact that we're looking to change terminology so that we can get people in the middle to understand better of what we're saying and how it impacts all Americans, that what we say is actually bad for the whole country, what's happening, and we use certain words and it just glazes it over. People's eyes glaze over when we say stuff like that. Like, I'm going to use one that just absolutely gets under my skin. A birthing person. I could tell you why that term is just gross. I know that there are trans men who can have babies. They're trans men, genetically female, but they are trans men and can have babies. And there are trans women like myself who have male genetics, and my gender is not that at all. It's totally, completely different. Those two terms are not the same. Genetic sex and my gender, they're related, but not the same. While I can't have babies, I don't have a uterus. You can also, we're at the place in science today, as of just a couple of years ago, you can actually transplant a uterus into someone who needs it. And typically that's being done for women who have uterine problems, who have endometriosis or something like that, or another issue with their uterus, and they could transplant one into them. But you can also transplant it into trans women. And there's no reason why you can't. None whatsoever. No biological reason. There's no even a moral or ethical reason not to. You could. It can be done. And if I were like 50 years younger, I might think about it myself. But no, I'm not 50 years younger. I'm 66. So it's way out of my league. But that possibility exists out there. So birthing person, I know the intent was to cover all of those different possibilities. But 99% of this country thinks that's just plain stupid. And then we go around throwing out words like that, and it immediately turns people off. They will not hear you beyond the terms that you use to describe things. Even if you use a term like that we all know in the community, if we all know what gender affirming care means, it's scientifically based, it's proven, it's every major medical organization in the world knows this is good medicine, good science. But yet, when you use a term like that, the right has so co-opted it and weaponized it that it becomes something entirely different. People just turn their head away from you immediately when you start talking about stuff like that. What we need to be focusing on when it comes to just that one term right there, the gender affirming care part, and not just that, let's turn it into something that's actually good for the entire country, that libertarians in the middle and even conservatives will understand when I say this. There's not a single person in this country who believes that, well, with exception of a few people out yonder, who believes that it's appropriate or even want a politician standing in the doorway of their doctor's office and telling them, we don't want you here, or we're not going to care for you here. Because the thing that comes to my mind is George Wallace standing in the door of the University of Alabama saying, segregation yesterday, segregation today, and segregation tomorrow, denying the entrance of black students to come into the University of Alabama. A little girl to go there to the University of Alabama. That's what comes to my head. Is there a single person in this country who believes that that's the way things ought to be done when it comes to the doctor's office or the psychologist's office? Who wants to have a politician standing in the door to your care? And that takes it away from just being one particular minor issue and puts it into a broader category that every American can understand. You're more likely to get an impact from other people, an actual consensus and agreement from people when you talk about it that way than you are to focus just on the academic term of gender affirming care. So switch the language up. Start talking about it that way. You can start talking about politicians who are bullying kids. Nobody wants a bully, and especially a politician bullying your kids. You don't want to be bullied by anyone in this country either. Just because of who you are, if you're a Polynesian, or if you're, Hawaiian, or Puerto Rican, or Latino, or black, just because you are those things, you don't want people bullying you because of it, do you? No, you don't. Native Americans, natives here who were here before Europeans showed up, there's some things they don't like. And one of them happens to be like the $20 bill. It's got Andrew Jackson on there. You know, Andrew Jackson, the one who sent them out on the Trail of Tears. Yeah, many of them to this day do not like getting a $20 bill or hearing anything about Andrew Jackson because of that right there, because it influenced them and sent them across the country. But, you know, we have to stop letting politicians, we've got to call them out. When a politician is bullying you because of how you identify, what your race is, your ethnicity, your gender or your sex, your gender identity, sexual orientation, when politicians are going after those minority populations, the entire country ought to be standing up against it because they're being bullies. And so we have to start reframing our language quite a bit. And if you'll pick up on that email that was sent out, go sign up on my website over there. Go sign up. There's a place to subscribe. There are 3 options on there. One is free. The other 2 are paid. The paid ones is either monthly or annually. And the reason for that, the paid part, is there's some things that I put a lot of effort into the research for. And some of that research is over there behind that $3.99 per month fee. If you want access to it, do that. Go there. So that's what I'm looking at this point in time. So I've already been talking for a while now, and that's the house phone ringing in the back. Yeah, we still have a house phone here. We are way up in the holler. But so go into that thing. It's called Tools for Our Toolkit. Tools to help you fight the good fight. There's some stuff in there that has to do with messaging. That gives you some ideas for scripts that you can put out there that's in relation to all of this, that you can put on Facebook or LinkedIn or a different way. Each of them require a different kind of way of talking to the audience there. For instance, it's a little bit more professional on LinkedIn, a little bit more engaging and personal on Facebook. And on Twitter, well, that's just a free-for-all over there. But there's some samples inside that toolkit to help you be able to present and talk about issues that will actually pull the language more to the center of the country in hopes of being able to engage with and get agreement from that part of the country, that part of the electorate. So that's very important. And thank you so much for watching. I'm going to kind of go through this again this evening at 6 Eastern. And come back and have a great afternoon, everybody. Take care. And let me see if any other chat comments over here need to talk about. True. Okay, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. Junia. All right. Let me show this one. We all are just going to have to try to adapt to talking to people on the level that they are on and using the language that they would use and giving them information to update their way of thinking. Yes. Yeah. And let me see. The 5 is disgusting. It's hard to watch. It's hard, but I do. And I find it comical, and I do call out Greg Gutfield a lot because he's always interrupting any of the Democrats over there talking. He kind of talks over them, and I call him out on it. I will send I've got Jesse's text number from his Jesse Waters show, but I send stuffed out to Jesse, to whomever says something that's just crazy. And I'll just give you this little thing that with Jesse. For the longest time, he's been talking about what it means to be a real man. Now, if you are a man, you're a man. It doesn't matter real part is just superfluous. It's crazy to put that out there. But he has a few things. He's like a gatekeeper for the manhood, manosphere. And I find it to be ludicrously funny. For instance, men can't sit with crossed legs. I don't know. My grandfather, there's a picture of him from 1928 sitting on the little running board of his car with his wife. And he's got his legs crossed, just sitting there, and he's got his hands laced together on his knees. I'm going to tell you, as far as I know, that man was a man's man. He was into logging. He had a business that was a retail store in town. He was into electrical work, rewinding, armature rewinding. And he was a preacher. So in 1928, he was sitting there on the side of that car with his wife, my grandmother, Eva Blevins, and his name was Gideon Williamson. I've got the picture on the wall here in the house. And it's contrary to everything Jesse says. But I don't think they had straws back then. Jesse says a man should not be drinking with a straw. Well, I've got something for you, Jesse. I don't know how you're going to deal with that for me, because you know that biologically I do have XY chromosomes. You know how I know that for sure? Well, I have a son. Where do you think his Y chromosome came from? Had to come from me, but gender is different. All right, but I'm going to do something here, and I'll show you. I'm going to leave you with a little quandary, Jesse, if you ever decide to watch this. Okay. Right, here we go. This is for Jesse. All right, so you know, and I'll tell you, if anyone asks me, I'll tell you flat out. I have a son. I do have XY chromosomes, and I'm very glad and thankful that I have a son. He's an amazing man and a veteran. Unfortunately, went in the Air Force. He should have gone into the Navy. But anyway, the Air Force is good. But So I don't know how you're going to deal with this one, Jesse, because my XY chromosomes and my gender are not the same. Yum. That's one quandary for Jesse Waters. There you go, buddy. This person who admits and knows with absolute certainty that I do have XY chromosomes, drinking from a straw, my gender is female. There you go. Oh my God. Yeah, I have fun doing this. I have fun everywhere I go doing this. And that's part of what we have to be doing too. In that toolkit, make sure you have time for yourself. And it mentions it in some of those tools. There's like, I put there's 6 different things over there that can kind of help you present the things that we need to be saying. So with that, I'll see you at 6 this evening, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much for watching.